What's up, everyone? It's Cannan, and welcome back to another video, and it's RWBY themed. It's been a little bit, well, actually, no, we done the video on RWBY Grim Eclipse, asking, where's our collector's edition? Update, we've heard from Limited Run, it's going to be shipped here soon, so yay! We'll unbox that when we get it, and me and Jess will probably play a little bit of couch co-op, let's play episodes for you guys, so yeah. That's some very, very, very welcome news. I originally had a different video planned for today. It was going to be another Fire Emblem video, but with my new job taking up a lot of time, plus Jess not feeling well as of the recording of this video, because, she usually does RWBY videos with me, decided to switch to this. And the Fire Emblem video will be up next week, hopefully. So yeah, my new job is really kicking my tail. But hey, it's a lot of hours, getting paid pretty good. So hey, it's a win-win kind of. Just I'm exhausted. Also, this is our 500th video. Holy crap, 500 videos. It's wild. Thinking back to when we started this channel, how we were using Jess's laptop, we were using the webcam that was on the laptop, we were using headphones, and the mics for microphones, which sounded like crap. And now, we're using an actual gaming PC for Let's Plays and recordings and reactions. Got a good webcam, mic, all this second monitor, all that good stuff. And thanks to this new job, we're going to be upgrading even more. I definitely want to get a better microphone, better lighting, and all that good stuff. So good things are coming. Also, shopping for cosplay stuff vlogs are going to be coming very soon. Our first con vlog will be this summer, because we're finally going back to Colossal Con at the beginning of June. And thanks to this new job, me and Jess are kind of semi-confirming that we will be at RTX next year for 2023, I believe. So yes, we are definitely going to try our best to go to RTX next year. Can't wait. And hopefully we'll get to meet some of you guys. If the channel was a bit bigger, I would plan like a meetup, but we're not big enough to do something like that. But yeah, can't wait for that. Okay, so the topic of this video, we are going to be talking about the original RWBY DC comics. This is not a review. I'm not going to go very in-depth with the themes and story and all that. I just finally want to give my opinion on this because we didn't do it when the comics first came out, and that's mostly because DC decided not to release the final volume in printed form, in physical form. I was very critical of that. I was so angry because my set of original comics, which I still have, were going to be incomplete forever. So I was irate as a collector. Now, this is the complete, collection. This is all the issues into one book. You get the original covers plus the special covers. So you get both in this. So it's kind of like if you went out and found the both covers, you could have just waited for this. Now, unlike this one, I have not read the RWBY and Justice League comics all the way through. I'm kind of waiting to see if they give it this treatment, because I kind of like these more. I like the more sturdier cover than the this is the back, than the paper comics. So hopefully they do this with the DC RWBY and Justice League comics. So these issues originally came out during lockdowns, I believe, because I remember there's no really good comic book shops in our area, so I had to pre-order them online and get them through the mail. And people had opinions on these comics. They're not perfect by any means, but I remember when they were announced, of course, it was confirmed that they are canon to the show. They primarily take place between volumes 4 and 5, though we get some flashbacks to when the girls were, little, back to the Beacon days, and even the ending of the final issue shows, at the end of volume 5 when they reunite. So, like I said, I'm not going to go over a complete full story. I don't want this to be a very super long video because, like I said, Jess is not feeling well, so I don't want both of us to be up very late editing. Plus, I got to go to work tomorrow. So, very little editing, just a quick look at this, give my thoughts, and then move on. So, once again, 500th video. Wish I had something more special planned. But thank you all for all your support. Hopefully you continue to support us. Please remember, this is just my opinion. Not saying I'm right. Not saying I'm wrong. Just giving my unfiltered thoughts on the DC comics. So, one of the first things that a lot of people really bagged on about these comics was the art style. Now, there's a lot of reasons why the art is the way it is. For one, it's the comic artist's interpretation of things. I don't remember 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it was said that the artists had never seen the show, but I'm sure they were given character sheets and like explanations on what they needed to write, and so they gave their own interpretation of things. Do I think the artist should have watched the show? I mean, I don't know if I would have wanted them to 100% copy paste. I do think artists' vision should be presented correctly. And do I think they needed to sit down and watch 7 seasons? Because I think by this time, volume 7 was either airing or had already finished. I can't really remember. It might have been before volume 7 aired. I don't know. But do I think all the artists needed to sit down and watch all the volumes? Probably not, because I'm sure they had other projects they needed to work on. Because if you're a DC Comics artist, I'm sure you're working on more than one comic. And if you notice in certain stories, the way the characters look changed slightly, and that's because there's 3 different artists, so the art is not going to be very consistent throughout the whole entire thing. Now, some of the really big comic book stories like Batman and stuff like that, and even the Legend of Korra comics, they have one artist for the entire thing. So of course the art is going to be way more consistent in that. And of course, I do think the art in the Korra books are way better. But those are graphic novels. These are comics. These were comic books. So it's always going to be a bit different between comics and graphic novels. So another thing that a lot of people were on about was they got some of the colors wrong. Like there's one part where Jean's color are they're like reddish brown instead of the color that they are in the show. But sadly that's a running thing in most comic books. They get the colors wrong. Now, 9 times out of 10, if you remember, the digital versions of these comics came out first before the actual physical print. Now, 9 times out of 10, on the big ones, from what I've seen, I could be wrong on some of this, but when the digital version comes out, yeah, there's going to be boo-boos. There's going to be uh-ohs. And then by the time the physical run comes around, they're fixed. Not so much in this one. But like in the past, I remember I've seen pictures from Batman comics where Batman's suit is completely off color. Like his cape was pink and things like that, and it just never got fixed. And that's what happens when you have different artists, and different uh color, how you say, people who color the comics, and when they're not 100% familiar with the source material. Now, like I said, should they have watched the show beforehand? I don't think they should have watched every single volume. Maybe an episode or two, maybe, but 9 times out of 10, when something that is already an animated show and then gets put in the comic form, it's not always going to translate 100% from the show. Now, from what I saw, the DC, I keep saying DC, the RWBY and Justice League comics, as far as character designs, looked way better in a lot of ways. The animation, the art just looked a bit cleaner, more slick. A lot of people say that the art in this one in some parts looks a little rushed. But that's really my thought on that. Like, different artists, you're not going to get consistent art. That's just how comic books work. It's the same way in anime. If you look at Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, there are certain times where Goku is drawn differently in one episode and he looks way different as far as features and all that goes in another one. It's different artists. It's different people drawing him. And they draw him in their particular style. Then another artist tackles certain episodes, and that's why characters look a little different. I don't think that happens as much anymore. I think these days the artist of a particular manga or anime remains the same because they get assigned to it. But there are some cases where it's a different artist for different episodes or different pages or different issues. So you will run into that. The story, like I said, I'm not going to get into the story like 100%, but I think the comic did a good job on showing 4 different stories in a set number of issues. Kind of like Volume 4. I thought Volume 4 did a very, very good job of covering all 4 girls who had 4 different stories, and they were all separated, and they had to do that in so many episodes. I thought they did a really good job of that. Now, originally, Volume 4 was not my most favorite volume because I just felt like not enough action. That's how I used to think in those days. But as time went on, story-wise, Volume 4 is very good. It does a lot of things right that Volume 5 did not. But, you know, you got things, you know, like with RWBY, still dealing with the losses from the Battle of Beacon and, you know, building herself up more as a leader. We see more into the very good character development that Weiss went through around Volume 4 and 5. Seeing more of that. We see the other side of Willow in these comics and how she was a little bit more Schnee-like, I guess, in the comics, where in the show, Jacques had just really run her down by that point, and I think she just finally had enough of it. You've got more of Blake starting her recovery from what Adam did, and, you know, her building up to be more of the character she is now. And like in flashbacks, we saw how Blake used to be before Adam just completely subdued her personality. We saw that she was a bit more playful. She was a bit more sassy. And by Volume 8, she's kind of becoming that again. She's recovering from what she went through. So we get a sneak of that, which connects to the show. We once again get to see how much of a great mom Callie is with Blake. Then, of course, we have more with Yang's recovery after losing her arm. We see a bit more of what she did, you know, doing things like just working around the house, you know, doing chores and all that. But we also see more background with her interactions with Blake at Beacon. We get to see more of that. Yes, the romance between Blake and Yang did start to build up around Beacon. It was just stuff that we didn't see in the show. And that was one of the things that this comic was meant to do, was to show more stuff around the Beacon arc through flashbacks that we didn't get to see on screen. Does that make the moments that happen in this comic less important? No, because that is what other media like this is supposed to do. It's supposed to show us stuff that could not be put into the show. Or is it a bad thing that they may have came up with some of these ideas way after the fact? No, it is never a bad. That is never a bad thing. Now, are there some contradictions? Yes. That just happens whenever you take something that's an animation form and then try and build a story, a whole different story that we didn't see in comic form. Now, personally, I would have liked to have seen a bit more of a 100% original story instead of retreading some things. But then again, it kind of is a 100% new story. And it seems like, they said between volume 4 and 5, though, there's a lot of stuff that takes place during volume 4, during volume 5, not really in the middle. So you kind of have to pick, where does this take place? Where does this take place? But it's not to the point to where the story doesn't make sense. And yeah, so like, is the story perfect? No. Is the art perfect? No. But does it give us more of RWBY to enjoy and paints a more bigger picture for stuff that didn't get explained as well in those early volumes and in those mid volumes? Yeah, it adds a lot bit more. There's some stuff in this that I wished had been added to the volume, especially volume 5. There's a good bit of stuff in here that would have made great volume 5 content. Do I wish we had seen Blake's past animated? Oh yeah. Do I wish we could have seen more of Weiss and what she was going through at her time back at Shania Manor in animation form? Yes, besides the stuff what we already saw. Do I wish we could have seen the stuff with RWBY in this? Yes, all of it. But, there's only so much they can fit into the show. That's why I'm glad that RWBY has went off into comics, into mangas, into video games, because it's just more stuff. It's this one connected universe that you can just, at some point, one day, when the show is over with, you will have people who will try and combine everything into one cohesive story. And who knows, me and Jess may try and do that one day. But, so really, what would I rate the original DC Comics? I would say maybe 7.5 or 8 out of 10. Like, is it perfect? No. Could it have been better? Yes. But it still provided a lot of great insight into these characters that we still hadn't seen or know. And, yeah, I'm really glad I found this. I found it at work. And, I was glad that I finally got to read all of the final issue. That I was so mad at that point because they canceled the physical that I didn't really read all of it. I was just that butthurt over it. But so yeah, short video, I know. We'll try and have something bigger next week. But as always, guys, this is Canaan. Me and Jess love you all very, very much. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, click that like button, hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified of all future uploads. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. We love you guys to death. And I will see you in the next one. See ya.